Aviation is associated with increased danger, and unfortunately, extreme situations occur quite often. But fortunately, the skill of pilots and modern equipment allow them to escape most critical situations. Today on Eternity Lab, you will find an exciting selection of stories that will make you look at air navigation differently.
Launch.
Eternity Lab. Imagine that while driving on the highway to work, you encounter this. Your car's interior will probably need cleaning. This pilot had to rely only on his skills and immense luck seconds before an inevitable disaster. Fortunately, thanks to all this, it was avoided. You could say this experimental aircraft pilot was born under a lucky star. Otherwise, how did he manage to land on an empty highway without a single scratch when the engine failed? This footage could have become the best work of an amateur plane spotter and also his last. Can you imagine how many flight hours these guys have, and yet sometimes they have to start the machine by hand? No one is allowed to open the cockpit doors except the pilots themselves or the senior flight attendant. Well, perhaps old door hinges can also do it. Imagine what kind of anti-talent for piloting one must possess for a disaster to occur before takeoff, while the plane is still on the ground. This is why air traffic controllers cannot be distracted or make mistakes at work. This time, thanks to the pilot's skill, the passengers didn't have time to get scared. Only the eyewitnesses on the ground got nervous. Everyone thinks that the main enemy of safe flight is gravity. But few know that the true enemy of a pilot is a sudden crosswind during landing approach. Landing in windy weather at St. Barthélemy Airport looks like an episode from a computer game, but the pilot's skill allows for a perfectly safe landing. Although the plane's trajectory looks terrifying. This is just a reminder of the human factor. Even ace pilots make mistakes. It's fortunate that this situation was resolved safely for everyone. He corrected everything. Let's see what the phrase "calm under pressure," which many put in their resumes, means. It was just demonstrated to us by the pilot of a plane that encountered a tornado on the runway. Everything is fine. The flight continues as scheduled. Sometimes pilots find themselves literally millimeters from disaster due to mistakes that are not always possible to correct. Fortunately, this time we see an exception. Everything turned out fine. Undoubtedly, this is a strange place for parking, but this time fortune gave a lucky ticket to the pilot, who successfully made an emergency landing on a bridge in New Jersey. A successful emergency landing on a highway does not cancel a new successful attempt to take off. This is what happens when a pilot miscalculates the speed during landing. Don't worry, he still has wheels for another attempt. Think carefully before showing this video to your friends who are afraid of flying. Don't worry, the plane landed safely. Believe me, you have not had a bad day. A bad day is, for example, when $40 million just fall to the ground. The pilot ejected in time and was not injured. This is a greeting from colleagues returning to base. They made it clear why. A pilot's worst nightmare is engine failure in flight, which is what happened to this plane. The last 30 seconds were decisive for the crew's lives. Why do these planes always try to land on the highway? Don't worry, the pilot is fine. He has no more flights scheduled for today. This is what happens when a helicopter loses its tail rotor. Indian students have just learned the difference in sensation between watching a helicopter flight and running for safety from unsafe observation of a helicopter flight. In this case, a helicopter was called to help install a wind turbine. These guys decided to take a team photo, but apparently didn't wait for one more pilot, and he decided to be in the picture with his machine. And here's what happens if you decide to take a break near a helicopter parking area. Taking off, a military helicopter will lift into the air everything that was nearby. To experience weightlessness, you don't necessarily have to fly into space. A helicopter with a pilot who has a good sense of humor and a positive mood will be enough for you. This helicopter expedition looks as if it's about to beat Indiana Jones in the search for the Temple of Doom. Don't think the helicopter is transporting a mini excavator. The weight of the Mi-26 is over 28 tons. So transporting such equipment is child's play for it. Yes, you see correctly. This is the same giant Mi-26 helicopter transporting another smaller one. If you are still not impressed, I'll add that its own weight is about 40 tons. Appreciate the skill level of this pilot, how he controls this helicopter. Perhaps this was the coolest express delivery you have ever seen on YouTube. And now before us is an example of unsurpassed skill. This pilot manages to land his helicopter on an aircraft carrier platform in the middle of the ocean, and does it on a pitch-black night. Believe me, the pilot laughed when he heard that aerial refueling is a complex maneuver. How low can a flight be to be remembered forever? Probably one that makes you duck your head. If you've ever dreamed of overtaking the world's largest plane in your car, you might manage it on a section of highway next to Los Angeles Airport's runway. Now let's look at a true aviation legend, the supersonic Concorde, which could accelerate to 2,150 kilometers per hour. This is one of the impressive landings from the 90s. What a pity it's no longer in use. Even in its era of glory, not many people saw this beauty in the air. Admire the passenger superdove, the Concorde. You have this chance because you are subscribed to our channel, right? This livery means you are looking at the A300-3900 Neo, the new flagship aircraft of the Condor airline. The striped flight is a bit reminiscent of a sock, isn't it? Airplanes are majestic and beautiful. Tell me, isn't it amazing to watch a Boeing 777 flight in the rays of the morning sun? This is not a scene from a science fiction film, but quite real transport. The Singaporean company ST Engineering announced the release of the commercial Akronoplan Airfish 8, which can move on both water and air, reaching speeds of up to 167 kilometers per hour. Look at this truck and at the engine from a Boeing 747 that it is transporting. And now compare the sizes. The plane has 4 such engines. This looks unreal, but we see a highway crossing right under the largest passenger aircraft. It is landing at Sydney Airport, and its trajectory passes right over the road. The author of this video got a lucky ticket in the lottery. You don't see billions of dollars flying over your head every day. This place seems like a true paradise on Earth, until something even more beautiful emerges from beyond the horizon. Only true aviation fans know that the United States Air Force Base Davis-Monthan in Arizona is the world's largest aircraft graveyard. The helicopter pilot scared away the fish, but he completed part of the mission, collected water for firefighting, and is now heading off to save the forest. The kids were lucky to see a real miracle, how a heavy water bomber plane takes off from the water, heading straight into the mouth of a raging forest fire. I think they already know what they want to be when they grow up, to fly this contraption.
Okay, that one was low.
This flying monster, the Erickson Aero Tanker, is the most versatile firefighting bomber, carrying tons of water. And this will be the last thing a forest fire sees on its path. A forest fire of this scale cannot be extinguished without the participation of the famous Douglas DC-10 aircraft model, which is always ready to fight. And now you see a demonstration, what the final moments of a fire successfully extinguished by our unforgettable Douglas DC-10 should look like. The Supermarine Spitfire is a British fighter from the Second World War era. It fully lives up to its name, literally spewing flames. The United States Air Force, as is known, is equipped with magnificent air technology. Look at what their lightning-fast navigation looks like. This is not computer graphics, but real air vortices swirling at the wingtips of a fighter during afterburner climb. I don't know what these divers are going to do there, underwater, but the most exciting task of the expedition was just performed before our eyes. Delivering personnel to the workplace in extreme conditions. Have you ever wondered how military planes are washed? I believe you will agree that watching an aviation washing session is as exciting as watching flights. Don't blink, or you'll miss the takeoff of the X-47B drone. This is a multi-purpose strike UAV now departing on its first mission. Aviation is also learning to be compact. Our acquaintance, the X-47B multi-purpose drone, can fold like a convertible and take up minimal space. You saw a drone take off, but what about catapulting a plane from an aircraft carrier? I don't know exactly if there is a Star Sled rocket yet, but the experimental XQ-58 Valkyrie drone definitely brings us closer to it.
3, 2, 1. Launch, launch, launch.
However, we're gonna be.
You will never guess what it was like for the French Air Force pilots when they inspected a number 1. You will never guess what it was like for the French Air Force pilots when they inspected an American military cargo plane. It appeared right before their eyes. Don't be afraid, no one is in distress. You are simply observing the flight of one of the United States Air Force Demonstration Squadron Thunderbirds aircraft. They are just having fun like that. And now we have the chance to be in the cockpit of an elite air squadron. We are watching a demonstration flight with the same view as the pilot from the instrument panel. Who said a fighter pilot can't be a bit of a gangsta? Did you know that the design of the supersonic Lockheed SR-71 or Blackbird reconnaissance aircraft turned out to be so futuristic that it served as a prototype for airships in the filming of the movie X-Men? Looping loop after loop at such speed can only be done by either a madman or the most experienced pilot in the world, an ace, which this pilot is. If I had to urgently pack only the essentials, I would immediately take the F-18 Super Hornet fighter with me. A whole triple storm of delight. Watch the takeoff of Grumman F-14 Tomcat aircraft from an aircraft carrier deck. The 4th generation jet fighter interceptor is extremely convincing. It's love at first takeoff. This guy never eats lunch before a flight, and now you'll understand why. This might look like a situation from a flight simulator, but believe me, few gamers can play it as brilliantly as the pilot did in reality. For this pilot, gravity ceased to be a problem as soon as he sat at the controls of his F-18. This guy is so good at controlling planes that he finds civil aviation boring. He prefers flying upside down. This is probably something you see once in a lifetime. A race of 5th generation multi-role stealth fighters, the F-35. We have a chance to look from above at how the F-35 soars up after the controller cleared it for takeoff. The F-35 makes a turn so fast it literally slices the sky. If you are an F-35 pilot, you can watch any stadium show from the best position. Vertical engine thrust is provided by a combination of a turbofan engine and a lift fan. We have already seen the unforgettable F-35 in action several times, but this aircraft does not cease to amaze us. These lucky ones got to see the F-35 break the sound barrier and demonstrate supersonic aircraft capabilities. And again, the F-35 fighter surprises us. 2 observers who saw it for the first time just froze when it hovered over them. If you dream too long about flying the F-35, you can be decades late. I think you can imagine how powerful fighters are, but just in case, let's see what effect they have on the environment. The pilots of this team demonstrate their flying skills. They have no room for error because it's a matter of literally millimeters. They fly so close to each other that it seems we are observing the flight of one aircraft, not a group of fighters. Such is the perfect mastery of the United States Navy and Marine Corps Flight Demonstration Squadron called the Blue Angels. Imagine how many years of training it takes to learn to fly like they do.
Michigan has allowed 195 all
the hell is that?
That's a stealth bomber right there. Oh my gosh. Look at that, bro. Is that crazy? That's amazing.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Love that. Love it.
Even the most experienced commentators are left speechless when they see the flight of the mind-blowing B-2 Spirit bomber.
It's not as quiet as you would think. Right.
Yeah, not too stealthy.
It's very loud.
The B-2 is an American strategic bomber, already in use for several decades, but its appearance still seems fantastically alien. If you think the B-2 stealth strategic bomber represents the pinnacle of aviation engineering, meet the presentation of its brother. This is the B-21 Raider stealth aircraft, designed for long range. This aircraft is the new fulcrum of the entire United States Air Force. When an aircraft designer for the United States Navy is invited to develop submarines, be prepared to see something very similar to a giant manta ray. A sandstorm rose from the work of the 4 turbojet engines of the C-17 Globemaster aircraft. This large and heavy machine cannot go unnoticed as it rises into the sky. Watching this trio of giants at the NFL Final Super Bowl 2024 filled viewers with awe, but what would the sensations be if seeing these birds on a combat mission? Need to launch a cargo ship into the air from an aircraft carrier? No problem, just make the ramp a bit higher. I swear, you have never seen anything like this before, for a cargo plane to land like that. This is the 4-engine turboprop military transport Lockheed C-130 Hercules, and if necessary, it can behave like a rocket. For example, when soldiers need to be evacuated from a hotspot. Pilots react to bridges the same way bulls react to a red rag, but sometimes they still have to do it and fly under structures. Don't worry, these guys are pros, but we do not advise you to repeat such a trick even in a computer game. Beautiful footage, shot only for colorfulness, not as a demonstration of safe behavior during a thunderstorm. The organizers of this air show wanted to be sure the plane would be clearly visible in the night sky. I believe we are seeing fragments of the filming of a new Fast and Furious, in which Dominic Toretto saddled an aerial muscle car. The Italian Air Force reminded Formula One fans in Monaco that the Grand Prix is promoted as an unforgettable show that takes place not only on the racetrack, but also in the sky. And it looks exactly like this. Let's add some color. It's hard to imagine a more impressive place for an air show than the expanse in the middle of a mountain range. Unless it's watching stories on our channel. How confident must a pilot be in his abilities and his homemade machine to perform something like this? I beg you, do not attempt to repeat this. There are hardly any people in the world who do not like the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. If such people exist, it means they have never seen this beautiful bridge from a bird's eye view. While the Lockheed Martin and Boeing corporations are trying their best to improve their models, this citizen created a homemade airplane and enjoys the open sky. You probably think that true top-tier professionalism is landing a plane on the roof of a moving car. But true mastery is in handling a situation when it doesn't go according to plan. Next time, spectators will occupy a less dusty place to watch the flights. Well, unless you really want to feel their power up close. If the air show you are invited to is not like this, there's no point in wasting your time. Better watch our episodes. The pilot landed right in front of the camera so that we would recognize his amazing skill. He lowered the plane like a feather, perfectly aligning it on the runway as if riding a bicycle. This incredible landing needs no commentary, just enjoy. Just enjoy. Number 1. While people buy expensive tickets to an air show, this guy watched it for free on his way to work. While you are too young to fly a real military aircraft, you can try to control its toy model remotely. I think none of the neighbors will dare to argue with him. This is undoubtedly the fastest vehicle that has ever traveled on this road. It is believed that beer and flights don't mix, but this talented guy tried to prove otherwise. Today you have seen several low passes by aircraft, but you must agree, none compare to this. If you could never understand why engineers are obsessed with aerodynamics, look at this. If anyone ever asks you why you adore aviation, show them this clip. If you have ever wanted to try to touch the clouds, your path is to become a pilot since only they have access to it. Which story seemed the most thrilling to you, or perhaps became your favorite? Write to us about it in the comments. This is the channel Eternity Lab, the laboratory of eternally relevant content. Thank you for watching. Also, watch our previous episodes.